Anyway, we'll get to the goal.
Yeah,
Now
talk to us
he's
about the
going to
set piece, Hamza. Talk to us about the set piece.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a needless set piece, right? And this is the thing that I think will
Yeah.
grate most with fans, with the team, with the manager. When we think back to the Brentford match, for example, as well, what did Liverpool do in that match? They gave away a set piece that they didn't need to. Now, slightly different context here in that Kennett is under pressure, whereas I think for two of the set pieces that Liverpool conceded,
Si,
well, at
Si wants
least
to come in
one.
there, Si? Si?
Go on, side.
It comes from a really positive position for us. We got six in the box. Kirk has
Yeah.
put us in a beautiful cross. Isaac wasn't where he should have been. So the ball pops out. Grav makes a failed challenge. He's trying really hard. And then Zobbo and Curtis are on the halfway line. 4 against 1. And whoever the Jesus. Oh, yeah, nice. Igor. He manages to keep the ball against 4 players and then slips in Dominguez, who is bombing on down the wing. And I think you're being very kind to Ibu.
Yeah, he's under a bit of pressure, but he gets the ball first and probably should just control it. But he doesn't, so that's that. And Liverpool face the corner. The routine that they have here is they're looking for a sort of front post flick on to attack the back post. And Liverpool appear semi-well organised to deal with the front post flick on. They've got three guys in, well, I've got McAllister, I think Isak, and
Mohamed.
Van Dijk from the middle, in that space between the middle of the 6-yard box and the front post. And the person that gets a flick on is Morgan Gibbs-White. So Morgan Gibbs-White is positioned sort of in line with the back post, I think, given the camera angle.
Is it, or is it Morgan Gibbs-White, or is it Van Dijk winning the header but not getting it properly clear because it was contested? I thought it came off VPT.
Oh, I don't think it matters too much because that's the plan, right? So they want Gibbs-White to flick it on, right? So so that's how they try to set up for it, and that's where they wanted the ball to go. So they had Gibbs-White run off Szoboszlai across the face of the 6-yard box to attack the flick on. And to be honest, I couldn't tell exactly who came off, but I think if it's Van Dijk, that's right. And then it falls to Murillo, who has looped just around the back of the pack that they've got to attack and block from the penalty spot. I think Szoboszlai tries to engage with him, and the ball falls quite nicely to him because at that same point, the Liverpool defenders have dropped towards their own goal as Van Dijk or Gibbs-White headers it, and the attackers are moving towards that space as well. So they've vacated that bit of the area where Murillo receives it. He controls and finishes through bodies. We can probably mention the whether it's offside or not. If you apply the law by the letter of the law, it's probably offside. If you apply it with common sense, it isn't. You just hope that in consecutive weeks that rule will be applied consistently, given the goal that Liverpool didn't have against City. But
I think that kind of sums it up, doesn't it, really, Hamza? They're either both goals, they're either both not goals. But we end up on the raw deal for both scenarios and in both games. So I think that's the thing that grates, like the inconsistency and not applying the rules. But that shouldn't even happen with VAR. But you should not get the inconsistencies when you have the VAR. But anyway, it's meant to stop the howler, isn't it?
We don't need to linger on that bit because you've done some analysis on set pieces, though, right, Dan?
Oh, I wasn't going to talk about that now because I was just going to ask about the I wanted to ask Si the non-UP question about the mental aspect of cumulative defeats and then going behind here, because this team has now been behind so often. Si, we've lost eight matches in 11 games, the last 11 in all competitions. We didn't have a reaction in this game. It visibly seemed to deflate everybody. The performance, we got progressively worse from this point onwards. Is it as much now a mental challenge for the players as it is anything else?
I just think the season, you win the league, the following season, mental challenge.
Yeah.
Getting yourself up to peaking.
You scaled the mountain.
It's an impossible task. Then we had Diogo. Then we have all of these new lads coming in. Then we go on this run. I just think it's almost an insurmountable mountain of shit that's piled up. There's nothing you can do about.
Yeah,
They definitely look for at least until half time. They look defeated at that point, and I imagine that was amplified by the nature of the goal, given the woe is me from last week. How you talked about it, the incorrect call last week went against us, and the correct call went against us this week.
Yeah.
So it's all very positive. Sorry, Garth, can I just ask? Hamza looks at set pieces all the time. We've got 10 in the box. We've got 11 men in the box. Everybody was back. But what do we think is the thinking of this? And secondly, what is the thinking of putting McAllister and Mohamed Salah against Murillo and Milenkovic?
Especially when Curtis Jones was outside the box.
But literally, I just said we have the tallest team probably in the league on the pitch, and we put our two shortest fellas against their only two aerial threats.
But Mohamed's always been the edge of the box guy, right, Si? That's his role in the team. He's always been the edge of the box guy for the counter. Yeah.
So, so by putting all the lads inside the box, it means they don't need to leave anybody back. So it invites more attacking pressure. So I just wonder what Hamza thought about it.
I think one consideration I would have is that we've discussed the importance of the guy on the edge of the box before, as someone who can pick up the loose balls and stop them recycling it. So when we attack corners or free kicks, whatever, we'll have like 2 guys or 3 guys on the edge of the box. And if you think back to the goal that Man United scored against us at Old Trafford in the 4-3 win, where Harvey Elliott didn't quite win the contest, right? He ducked out of it. You probably do want someone that can win that aerial duel. So let's say, for example, Van Dijk wins the first header and it falls to the edge of the box. You want to make sure that you've got a favourable matchup in that situation, that it doesn't go straight back in, because that's when you're pushing up and you need a synchronised move by the whole back line to just make sure that you're not a little bit... No one's just out of step, and there's not any spaces that can be attacked with the ball going immediately back in. We've seen before... what was a goal recently where there was a quick ball and they crossed from the left and Liverpool weren't quite set up to deal with that immediately. Oh, it was Manchester United again. The Fernandes cross into the box, right? Liverpool weren't quite set up to press the ball when it went back to him, right? So you probably want some sort of aerial presence that can deal with that. So I understand why you might have Curtis Jones there, just to make sure that you win that second ball on the edge of the box. Usually because opposition teams don't load that with particularly tall players as well. But just specific to this set piece as well, it's interesting that they put Jesus on Van Dijk as their blocker as well. So they targeted that zone where Van Dijk is, but they tried to make it as difficult as possible for Van Dijk to get a clean connection on it. They put Jesus there to block him. He made it difficult enough that Van Dijk or Gibbs White, whoever got it, just had a small flick on, and then it went to the back post. But yeah, there are different ways of approaching it. Like Si said, you could, for example, let's say you take 3 guys out the box and you dare the opposition to not leave 3 guys back or give themselves a +1. That could work as well. Remember, they're always at a disadvantage because, in numerical terms, because they've got 1 corner taker, so that's a -1, and they've got the goalkeeper, that's a -2, right? So if you put all the guys in the box, you're always going to have 11v9. And you could try and reduce that. And, well, it depends, right? Let's say you take 2 guys out and they put 2 guys in. You're just going to follow them. You're not going to leave them with an extra player or 2. And I think what they also did differently in this setup compared to their recent corners is they actually did throw 1 further person in the box. So that might have been McAllister or Salah that followed them, I think. So usually they have 3 on the edge of the box to guard. But I think in this match, they tried to commit 1 further player forward. So we reacted to that. So it works both ways. You can try and send players out and see what they do, but equally they can send more in. And at that point, you're going to go, okay, instead of having 11v9 in the box, it's an 8v8. Why would we do that? We would bring our other guys back in. So yeah, those are considerations. But
Hamza and Dr. Bots, just to summarize what I've been listening to you guys talking about that. Do you think that the taking players out of the box to put on the halfway line to force the opposition to keep players back? Do you think that decreases the randomness events of set plays in the defensive team's favour, or do you think it allows opposition to have more space and more ways of their players winning the ball and winning that first contact? What do you think, Hamza? What does your instinct tell you?
I think it would depend on the matchups that you have. I think you could probably work this out mathematically, right? Phil, you might want to have a look at this in terms of
Phil's nodding.
There's already
you
a
can
paper
work out
on it.
what's your aerial dual win rate as like in the matchups, and work out the probability of the team winning all those matchups versus the aerial dual win rate of a select group of players versus their best group of players, and work out which total is better. I think that would be the way to approach it. But in terms of how it plays out on the field, I'm not too sure. Honestly, I'm not too sure. If, for example, let's say I was good at set pieces, I had a team that was very good at set pieces. And an opponent took 3 players out their box and put them on the halfway line. Sure, I don't care. If you're giving me, like I said, you've already got a +2 advantage when you're defending. But if you're going to give me that +1 advantage instead, so I have a 3 swing because you've taken 3 guys out, I'll take that. Why? Because 1, I control where the ball goes because I'm delivering it. So if you're taking 3 players out, and let's say I send one with them, I'm still keeping the other 2 guys in, and that will give me more opportunities to try and block, to try and flick-ons, to maybe play short, to try and expose that routine. Personally, if someone took 3 players out of the box against me, I would say fine. And I'd take the risk of leaving those guys high upfield, because the only way they're really going to get the ball is if 1, goalkeeper claims it and releases quickly, and 2, if one of the defending teams gets a really good contact on it. And that goes perfectly to where they're positioned. Personally, yeah, I know Chelsea have done it, but as in, if someone did that to me and I was a set-piece coach, I would gamble on having the additional attackers.
So, Dr. Bartz, you mentioned that somebody has done a paper on this. Have you read it?
Yeah, I have, because we did it about 2 seasons ago, because Frank spoke about it after we played Brentford, and he got heavily criticised for not responding to us putting players on the halfway line. And he said there is significant probability that if you don't follow the opposition and you overload the box and you deliver correctly, as Hamza said, you're more likely to score than you are to concede. And there is a trade-off with how many players you can bring out, but in that equation as well. I'll try and dig out the paper, but there is definitely research on it.
Do you think the sample size is big enough to know where the set piece fails, what the opposition conversion rate is? Because I don't know whether there's going to be that much data on where you can't control the initial ball in, and then the opposition can break, and what the difference in that from that type of counter-attack situation where you got 3 men up is versus.
That'd be really that.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, I think with the quality of data, you probably could do it now, but it has to be behind closed doors data, and then you can do it publicly available. But no, I think there is definitely analysis out there on the ratios of overload in terms of having it in and out of the box, and how you can deal with that. And as Hamza said, you control, if you've got the ball, you control a lot of where that ball's going to go. You can set your play up on that. But in terms of the matchups, yeah, sure. You can look at the individual analysis and the probability that you'll lose that, and therefore where it's going to fall, the areas of the pitch that is going to create. I'm sure Arsenal do that at some level as well, because they look at things in a minute detail about every single thing. The only point I'll add to the discussion you guys have already had is defending is always dealing with the art of what could happen. Therefore, I would have suggested that leaving 2 of the biggest attacking units unmarked or with 2 shortest players is a higher probability of them receiving the ball than it going out of the box. I would have said. So I think our error would have been having that was an error from us, or not dealing with the second ball as we've done all season, was not dealt with. So I think Mac, you look at where it comes to Mourinho, Mac is slow coming out to close the ball down, as he has done on previous occasions. So yeah, whether you have the right numbers in or out, I'd still say the highest point of danger would be the 2 opposition's best aerial headers, if you like, of the ball.
Just quickly, anecdotally, I feel that Liverpool have had more success from breaking from their own box with players back for attacking purposes than they have had from chances where they've left the player up. The only goal that springs to mind where Liverpool have left the player up is when Man City had a free kick, Alisson claims it, plays direct into Salah, Salah beats Cancelo and scores. But I think there's probably 3 or 4 occasions where you can remember Liverpool defending a set piece, winning the first contact, winning the second, and then breaking forward. And I think there were 2 goals against West Ham in particular that illustrated this, but there's probably another couple that I can't quite remember at the moment. But there's definitely one where Salah and Mane combined.
Arsenal at home as well, yeah.
Arsenal at home, United at home.
In none of those was Mo inside the box.
No.
Yeah, he was on the edge of the box. That's the thing.
It was literally marking.
Yeah.
Inside the box. It's absurd.
Did it happen again in this game, Si? Can you recall seeing Mo inside, or was it just a situational thing for this one set piece?
It can't have been situational because they got a lad on the halfway line, so they had 3 lads outside the box. It was a choice on our part. It wasn't a marking assignment.
Yeah.